Will you pray with me? Creator and sustainer, I pray that you once again bless the words of my mouth and the meditation of our collective hearts as we come together the very ways as the church this blessed morning. God, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
So here we are, this 20th week after Pentecost, and trending at an amazing speed toward Advent. I know that it doesn't feel like it all the time, but pretty soon we're going to be at the holidays once again. And liturgically, it's kind of an interesting space that we find ourselves in, living life in Jesus' ministry. And then soon we're going to watch again the birth of Jesus, some 2,000 years removed. So when it gets to this time, I'm always a little apprehensive and weirded out a little bit that Jesus is probably in his 30s this week, and then in a few weeks he's going to be a baby. So we get to learn how that cycle and circle of life happens liturgically. So how many of us, and you don't have to answer to formal, have tried to decide what is right or wrong in or with the church? Yeah, you don't have to answer. There are reasons I didn't go to church for a while. Back in the day when my children were younger, it was a specific reason on a micro level. And on a macro level, church with a big C, there's a lot of Pew reports out there that give us some varied answers. Sometimes we have easy solutions in our own little congregation. We can fix things or attempt to fix them. But oftentimes we are left kind of throwing our hands up in the air, even saying, it's not the church at all, it's people these days, or this new generation. We just don't get it. Some years ago, a researcher surveyed 7,000 Protestant youth and college students from many denominations, asking whether they agreed with the following statements. The way to be accepted by God is to try sincerely to live a good life. More than 60% agree. And God is satisfied if a person lives the best life they can. Almost 70% agree. The main emphasis of the gospel is on God's rules for right living. Again, more than half agreed. Even in my own experiences as a pastor, as a community organizer, as a chaplain, in talking to people about how to be right with God, it bears out these or similar findings, particularly at end of life times. When asked if you were to die and stand before God, and he asked, why should I let you into heaven? What would you say? The most frequent answer we hear is, well, I'm basically a good person, or I've always tried to do the best that I can. Most people, including those that call themselves Christians, think that the right way to approach God or Christianity is to present their good works at the gates of heaven, like some holy currency or transaction. Another rhetorical here. How many of us say, thank God I'm not like them or him or those folks? Many times this is where religious teachings leave us, with just enough arrogance to be dangerous, is what I learned in seminary. So I was going to see my daughter this week and traveling to the city to take the train. We happened upon an overpass where a beloved child of God with a political agenda of his own was yelling at passersby and gesturing something I shan't do in the pulpit amidst about 8 various vulgar signs indicating his stance on all things political. The driver of my vehicle was enraged and popped off a name or two. I think I felt something deeper for this person, and I'm still struggling to put it into words. Humility and following Jesus gives us, hopefully, grace and compassion, the mercy and forgiveness to create a new path. This person was claiming Christianity from on that overpass. And I wondered what book he was is reading. Because the book that I read and the gospel I proclaim says we don't have all the answers, but that with each other in community and Christ as a model, we can know a way better. Because if we thought we had all the answers, and if we actually did, that would make us God. So let's read this narrative again from the Message paraphrase. I kind of like this version. It's called The Story of the Tax Man and the Pharisee. He told this next story to some who were complacently pleased with themselves over their moral performance and looked down their noses at common people. Two men went up to that temple to pray, one a Pharisee, the other a tax man. The Pharisee posed and prayed like this: "Oh God, I thank you that I'm not like other people, robbers, crooks, adulterers, or heaven forbid, like this tax man. I fast twice a week and I tithe on all my income, every cent." Meanwhile, the tax man slumped in the shadows, his face in his hands, not daring to look up, said, "God, give me mercy. Forgive me, a sinner." So Jesus commented, "This tax man, not the other, went home made right with God. If you walk around with your nose in the air, you're going to end up flat on your face. But if you're content to be simply yourself, you can become more than yourself." I know for me, my moral righteousness as a Christian has sometimes trumped my humility as a Christian. For me, it's amen that the tax collector gets mercy. Thank God that the Imago Dei, God's beloved image, is seen in that tax collector, in the very bodies of creation, in the man spitting vulgarities from the overpass. As someone who was raised by grandparents in a community, I am so deeply grateful that the church didn't follow the rules when raising me. I had a pastor that showed up late one night, approaching midnight, to teach me geometry when I truly didn't deserve it. Really, I'd been pretty hateful to my grandparents that day, but guess what? Love showed up anyway. And love showed up countless unexpected ways, giving beyond what was expected when my grandparents didn't have but an 8th grade education. Ultimately, when I struggled to parent my own children, working 2 and 3 jobs, dance mom stepped in to carpool Miss J to dance class as I worked nights and weekends. A beloved church member paid forward on my daughter's tuition at the amazing studio. Jesus tells us in Luke that the beloved community is messy, that following the rules won't likely get us into the kingdom of heaven, but also that the kingdom of heaven is here and not there. That we will be wounded and broken, but that the rewards of community are greater. We will likely be sitting next to folks that vote differently, don't like chocolate, and see the world much differently than we do. Y'all, I think that we are just beginning to experience some of those rewards. Sometimes we feel the exhaustion of working towards that kingdom building place. But as Jesus says, he is among us even when he is not physically present. Here we are sharing God's abundant love, grace, and mercy, some here and some there. Let's not forget how to offer it to those we meet along the way that enrage us, challenge us, and ultimately will change us. Amen.
Amen. Oh, where the heck is the recording button? There it is.